I'm in the middle of editing the Self-Sufficient in Suburbia diary video for January this year, January 2022. An awful lot of storms, and we got some sheep, but a lot of Christmas trees as well, which people were giving to us, because being self-sufficient is not just about food, it's about our energy as well, and it's about living sustainably. So welcome to Self-Sufficient in Suburbia for January 2022. It is Wednesday the 5th of January 2022. Just after New Year, we put out an appeal to people to give us their Christmas trees rather than throw them out and they're getting wasted by going into the waste system. We can put them to good use, and basically we want the trees so that the goats can have them. They like to chew off the twigs and chew off the bark as well, and then once the goats are finished with them, we can then chop up what's left and use it as firewood in a year's time. Now, when we did this last year, we got about 20 trees. This year, it's been a bit different. So we've got the trees here on our near side plot. This is where we have 4 of our goats. So we've got Ramesses here, and there's Dolly. As you can see, we have an awful lot of trees waiting to be eaten by the goats. Well, frankly, I'm not going to get through all of this lot. So, the issue is, what do we do? But of course, these trees here aren't the only ones that we've got. We've got a few more outside our gate here as well. I've spent most of the last 3 days going around people's houses to having arranged with them in advance to collect the trees, and lots of people have been bringing them to the Winnie's Community Garden car park. As you can see, trees have been dropped off here for us, so it's not just us collecting them from people. People have been bringing them here as well, and as you can see, there are still quite a few here. By lunchtime yesterday, we had managed to strip all the trees that were here, strip them of their twigs and branches, and ended up with a rather nice pile of logs which will go up to our main field cut so that the goats can chew off the bark. But back to here, we've got Christmas trees here. Every time we blink, another Christmas tree arrives. But we have these piles of branches that have been chopped off, and they're going to be shredded. That's the plan. So we've got wood chippings to put down on in the chicken runs, and also they can go to the community garden for their paths as well. So our job for this morning, hopefully, is to get this lot shredded. So, as I say, these logs will go down and down to our main field, and the goats will chew them, and then once they're stripped of the bark, we'll chop them up, and in a year's time they'll be used as firewood. Well, David has arrived now to take the trunks to the goat paddock down on the main field. So there he is. Let's drive over. So We have now put some of the logs into the back of the pickup, and we'll now take these up to our main field to feed to the goats. Right, we have 4 dumpy bags full of the shreddings and the chippings. So, still lots to do. So we're going to have to return to this on Friday, because tomorrow we are getting some new sheep. It is Thursday the 6th of January 2022, and we're at a friend's farm because we are borrowing her trailer. And the reason we need her trailer is because we are picking up the 9 Hebridean sheep that we were offered recently, so it's moving day for them. So this is our pickup, and there is the trailer. So far we've managed to catch 5 of them, and it's taken over an hour to do that, so just trying to get the final 4. Well, we have, I am pleased to say, captured all 9 of them. It only took 2 hours and a lot of exercise running around a field, so they're now going to be moved down to our small holding. Maybe if you grab one by the horns. It is Saturday the 8th of January 2022. As you can see, I am in our fruit cage that we use as a chicken run at the moment, and at the moment all the chickens and ducks are having to be confined to runs because that's a DEFRA instruction for all poultry keepers at the moment because of avian flu outbreaks. So at the moment, as you can hear, the chickens are making a bit of a noise because they have just been fed. Now, as you can see, the ground is covered in the shredded Christmas trees. So this helps to keep them off the mud, and also it means that the food that we give them gets scattered on the ground and they've got to scrat around for it. So it makes it a bit more challenging for them, and they don't get so bored as well. So this, as you can see, you'll be able to get down to the layer underneath, the mud layer, the soil. So this keeps them dry as well. So here we are in the duck run, and the same principles apply. The shredded Christmas trees help to keep them off the mud. As you can see, they're getting a little mucky anyway, so I'll show you how we're going to solve that in a moment. But this helps, this shredded trees helps to keep them that bit cleaner, but it also means that they've got to go searching for the food amongst all of this. It is Sunday the 9th of January 2022. You might be able to hear the generator in the background because we are back in the Winnie's car park and we are continuing to shred Christmas trees, and we've had a number that were dropped off here yesterday, and I've been asked by the local church to go and collect their trees, and since they're only about a 30-second walk from here, then that's easily done. So hopefully at some point we're going to get rid of this pile to the shredder. Well, we have been on all day stripping branches off trees, putting them through the shredder, and just as we thought we were getting on top of it, more trees arrived. In fact, there was one van that arrived with 8 trees in, one of which was from last year, well, as in 2020, not just a few days ago. So, I'm looking around at it now, and it feels like we haven't even made an impression on what was here this morning. So I think we're going to be here for a bit longer, not today, but we're going to be here a bit longer, getting all this lot shredded and put to good use. This last tree here has only just arrived, and in fact I actually went to get it. It's the tree from Sunnyside Methodist Church, and they asked me if I wanted it for the goats. I said yes, and of course the interesting thing is that I was the person who switched the lights on for this tree. So I think more shredding tomorrow. It is Thursday the 13th of January 2022. You might just be able to hear in the background a chainsaw because it stopped. Right, there's a tree which partly came down in the recent storm, which is just over the hedge there. I'm on the Winnie's Community Garden at the moment, and I've been allowed to take the branches, the smaller branches, from the tree to feed to the goats and to make eventually into firewood. But the problem is, well, it's not so much a problem, but the issue is absolutely mountains and mountains of these branches, and I've got to shift them today. Well, I seem to have been spending most of today trying to move those branches. Initially we were putting them in our near side plot, which is where the 4 of the goats are at the moment, but when we came back at lunchtime we found another great big pile of branches, so we've cheated and we are putting them into our near side plot, which is actually just on this side of, this is the far side plot, and we have been that's behind the hedge there, and we've just been simply dragging the branches down to where I am now and chucking them over into the secure paddock that we've got there. So as you can see, there's lots of them in there. Normally this paddock is used for chickens, but the chickens are all under a poultry lockdown at the moment because of avian flu. So what we're going to do is move down some of the goats to here. Because it's a secure paddock, then there's no problem putting the goats in there. They're not going to get out of there. So what we'll do is we'll move 3 of the nannies down from our main field to here, and they can chomp their way through that, through the twigs and the bark until they run out, which is probably going to take them weeks to get through it. So that's what's left of the pile, and we've been moving them simply down to the bottom corner there, where that blue shed is, and then throwing them over the fence. Otherwise it would have been quite a long journey to get them over to our near side plot. As you can see, there's some good logs in there, and we'll chop them up in a few weeks' time after the goats have finished stripping the bark and twigs off them, and they'll be left to dry for a year, and then they'll be used to keep our house warm. So this is our near side plot. As you can see, we've got goats here. This is Dolly, and this is Ramesses. There's 2 others on here as well. So we brought branches over, but they have already had loads and loads of other things. So they've got Christmas trees here, and up around the corner we have a load of ivy, which I arrived this morning. He's wanting to play a headbutting game with me, but with his horns, that's not always wise to do. So as you can see, the goats have made good progress certainly in stripping the bark off these Christmas trees and eating the buds at the end of the twigs. So there we go. And as I say, over here we have the ivy that arrived today as well. You wouldn't have thought he was just a few months old. Well, the sun's going now, and it's starting to get dark, but as you can see, apart from a few scattered logs and a couple of branches over there, that's the job done. So, food for the goats and fuel to keep us warm, all from somebody else's waste. It's Wednesday the 26th of January 2022. I got a phone call a few minutes ago from Steve, and he was down here on the field feeding his pigs, and he was phoning to tell me our first 2 lambs have arrived. So we've checked them, and it's 1 boy and 1 girl. Mum here is doing the natural thing, which is to eat the afterbirth. But the 2 lambs looking a good size. I've picked them up and they're a good weight to them, so they're nice and healthy. And suckling.
How flighty she used to be.
A couple of years ago, a tree came down in a storm, and it was in the middle of the Sunnyside estate here, so we went along and chopped up the tree, and the branches are all chopped up, ready to dry out for fuel. Its twigs were all eaten by the goats, and we put the big trunk into our near side plot here, so that's just behind me here. That's the gate for it, and we let the goats strip the bark off them. But we never got round to chopping them up to use as firewood until Sunday, just gone, where we used the chainsaw to chop up the logs or chop up the trunk. So because the trunk was lying there for 2 years, it is now really dry, so excellent for turning into firewood. So this lot, I'm going to go to Steve's now and we're going to split them. So I've got to get the wheelbarrow out to load up the pickup. So just loaded up the pickup, so this is ready to go to Steve's this afternoon for splitting. And there we have the whole load of firewood. Keep us going for the next couple of weeks. It's Thursday the 27th of January 2022. It's breezy, it's bright, but it's quite chilly. But the 2 lambs are doing well, suckling well, and up and about following mum. Right, what we've done is cut the umbilical cords off, or we'll cut it down to a stub, and then we've just sprayed a bit of antiseptic on them. Let's see if we can pick one of them up. So this is the girl, and what we've done is the purple there, I'm not sure you can see that, but that's her navel, so we've sprayed that with a bit of antiseptic. Our friend Sean dropped off a wagon load of apple branches just a few days ago, and they were put in here with the sheep, and the sheep have been doing exactly what the goats do, which is to strip the bark off them to eat it. So they are having quite a time with this, and once they've finished, this will all be chopped up and then left to dry for a year to become firewood. It is Saturday the 29th of January 2022. I'm in the pickup in the car park of the Winnies, and the back of the pickup is full of branches and logs which have come from a tree that's been blown down overnight near it's on one of the roads into Sunnyside. So we are my friend Steve spotted that it had come down and suggested that we go and chop it up and remove it because it's blocking the road, but also it produces some lovely firewood for us for next year. So Steve is still up there with the chainsaw, and I've been filling up the pickup and brought the first load down here now, and I'm about to unload it, and we'll chop up the bigger logs a bit later. Right, first carload. in the pickup, ready to go back down to the Winnies. Right, this is the second and final batch of logs and branches. We're going to leave them here for the time being because we're going to do some work on clearing that conifer that's come down on the chicken run rather. The storm that we are suffering from at the moment is causing an awful lot of damage. It's bringing trees down all over the place. I saw one come down, it literally came down in front of me when we were sawing up the tree up on the main road. So, see this behind me? Is a conifer tree that's just come down in the last couple of hours onto the fruit cage on the Winnies community garden where I keep some of the chickens. Fortunately, the chickens are fine, they're all contained. The structure is a really good, heavy, hard wearing structure for the fruit cage, which means that it hasn't been smashed to smithereens by this tree coming down. But obviously we're going to have to remove this as well, so there's a big bit of work to do here. Now, this is the tree here. You can see we're up on the big tree there where it's split from the main trunk, and then as you can see it's on the roof of the fruit cage. As I say, it's holding it, and the chickens don't seem to be too worried by it, so they all seem to be fine.